In April of 2019, my family and I visited northern Wales, in part to visit the lighthouse at the Point of Ayr in the little village of Talacre, where my great-great-grandfather, Samuel Brooks, was its lighthouse keeper from 1825 to 1856. The parking lot and trailhead are about a quarter of a mile or so from the actual lighthouse. You can see it there in the background on the left. Here are some more pictures of the lighthouse in the distance as we were walking toward it. This is the entrance to the beach. The beach was covered with rocks, a few shells, and it was extremely cold and windy. I will now read some excerpts from the book The Life of George Brooks, written by Juanita Brooks, where she describes this area. For ages the rocky promontory on the north extremity of Wales has jutted out into the sea, to be known by the early inhabitants of the area as the Point of Ayr. Surrounded on three sides by water, with a low, gravelly beach at low tide, it became inundated up to several feet at high tide, and a boiling, foaming torrent in storms. It was such a hazard to seafaring men that by 1700 it was marked with a small lighthouse, erected for and supported by the merchants of Chester, far down at the end of the bay. As the city of Liverpool grew in importance, this danger spot became their concern also, for their commerce was constantly threatened by the submerged rocks. Originally, the lighthouse keeper lived ashore at the house still known as the Lighthouse Cottage. They had to row aboard the lighthouse at times, as the sea came inshore of the building. Since Samuel Brooks was listed as a lighthouse keeper in 1825, he must have been one of the first men to have charge of it. He continued at this post for 31 years, until in 1856, when he emigrated to America. Family legend says that they lived at the cottage about a quarter of a mile back, behind the ridge of sand dunes held together by clumps of coarse, hardy grass, with Samuel walking to his task of cleaning, filling, and lighting the lamps in the evening, and putting them out at early morning. This would be in good weather. During storms, he must go early and remain overnight, rowing out and back in a boat. Author Juanita Brooks then talks about one of Samuel's sons, George, by saying the following. George carried vivid memories of his home in Wales, of his parents and the family life. He described his father, Samuel Brooks, as being about 5 foot 7.5 inches tall, weighing about 180 pounds, sturdy, with strong arms from cutting stone and managing the boat. He was a cheerful, good-natured man, loving and kind in his home, and a good provider. George's mother, Emma Blinstone Brooks, was small and very dark-complexioned, of a quick, nervous temperament, a great reader and student of the Scriptures. She was of a fervent religious nature. Most of all, George remembered the sea as it surrounded the lighthouse, sometimes calm and placid, sometimes playful, and then upon occasion wild with the fury of a storm. He remembered going with his father to the lighthouse, walking the well-marked stone path through the sand dunes with the coarse grass hanging to them, climbing the long stairs to look out over the ocean from the top windows. He remembered the sight of boats struggling far out in the waves and of wreckage washed up onto the beach. He told often of one great block of bran that had been washed ashore, ballast from the bottom of one, soaked and solid. The men from the village came out, cut through the hard outer coat with axes, shoveled it into their wagons, and hauled it home. He remembered the smell of the sea, and the sound of the seabirds, and the feel of the wind and the spray on his face. Thanks for listening to the story. I hope you enjoyed this narration, and now here are a few pictures of my family at the lighthouse as well. Have a great day.